Hello guys, it's me Zane. Well, this orchid is beautiful and smells fantastic. I'm doing this profile video thingy, I don't know what, for some orchids which I think deserve it. You should check those out. Also, you should subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram. There are some cool pictures there. Yeah, let's talk about this guy. So this is one of these videos again, I guess. I just, sometimes there are some orchids which I just want to make profile videos about because I think they deserve it, and the Lycaste aromatica is one of those orchids. So I thought, as I usually do, that in this video we're gonna talk about the history of this Lycaste aromatica, mine Lycaste aromatica, and after that we're gonna do some characteristics of the plant, then the blooms, then some fragrance stuff, and then some care information. So there's quite a long discussion ahead of us, I think. I'm not sure, maybe this video is going to be just like super short or whatever. So I got this Lycaste aromatica. I'm not sure when, but it was a long time ago. It might have been already 3 years ago, I'm judging by the bulbs. And I got it from a Hungarian seller on the Budapest Orchid show. And I got it because it was cheap and it was a nice species, and I didn't have Lycastes. Well, this is my only Lycaste right now. I was curious about the Lycaste aromatica because it's a kind of a different orchid, if you know what I mean. There was a fair share of stuff happening with this plant. This orchid is basically a very seasonal grower, so there is this distinct season for the growing. And in 1 year, in the middle of the summer, I went away for a vacation. The spider mites just came and thought it's party time, and they partied their hearts out, and yeah. I could not save the new growth because the damage was just done and there, and it was too big for the orchid to handle, so I decided to cancel the new growth and start a new growth in the middle of the summer. Well, there was a shorter time until the winter, so the new growth was actually smaller because the plant was forced into the dormancy. After a time, when the plant actually sorted itself out and it was seasoned properly and stuff, it thought, well, I will put all my energy into the new growth. Well, look at that huge pseudobulb. The last pseudobulb is really bigger than these previous tinier pseudobulbs, and I was happy for that. When I saw that there is this big pseudobulb happening on the orchid, I thought that, oh well, I am just slightly hoping for some blooms. Well, I got some, so yeah. Just a few characteristics. When I got this orchid, at first I didn't know how should I repot it, because on the internet, especially on orchidspecies.com, this orchid is described as it can be epiphyte if it's growing on mossy branches or mossy tree trunks. Also, it can be a lithophyte, again, mossy rocks, as a growing, let's say, medium. It's not a medium, but also it can be a semi-terrestrial orchid. And I was like, well, okay, thank you for giving me the info that this orchid can be epiphyte, lithophyte, and terrestrial. Now what should I do? So I decided to repot it into this smaller chunk ceramis medium because it's a clay medium. There are like no problems with it so far. It's growing great in like the smaller grade ceramis or what. So I was hoping that I can grow it in this medium. Well, I can, so that's great. Now this orchid is a very seasonal grower, as I said. It has this distinctive growing period. It blooms, and when it blooms, it starts to grow the new growth as well. The new growth is actually matured when it's summertime, and after that, as winter progresses, it goes into a dormancy and the cycle is basically complete. And also, it's a deciduous orchid, which means that the leaves which were created in the year, they will be shed in the winter time. There are some other Lycastes which are like evergreen and they don't shed the leaves regularly. They shed the leaves when they are already older. Okay, so basically that's about the growing habit of this Lycaste. Now let's talk about the blooms. First, I love them. I was really hyped about these blooms because, you know, there is this really famous thing. Okay, the most famous thing about this orchid is basically the fragrance. So I was really hyped that, holy shit, I'm gonna finally feel like the cinnamon fragrance. It will be very good and stuff. Well, since I never experienced new buds appearing on a Lycaste, I thought that they will resemble a new growth just extremely, and it will be really hard to tell them apart. But I think from the first time when I spotted that some green nubbins are growing there was a big difference between the new growth and the bud. After that, the spike started to elongate and the buds started to swell up, and I thought that this yellow color will show up a little bit more on the buds, but basically those buds were green and they never turned yellow. They are 5.5 centimeters wide and 3.5 centimeters in height. I thought that they're gonna be like smaller. Now the sepals, which are basically have this triangular shape, they are a lot greener in color, and each of the sepals has a, how do you call that, a happy set droplet on the pointy part, on the end tip of the petal, which is like really cute. They are a little bit veiny and greenish in color, while the petals and the lip, they have a golden yellow color. I thought that this flower will be a much more yellower, a colder yellow tone. Inside the throat of this orchid there is this burgundy spot thing going on, but you cannot really see that because it's really just inside there, and the petals are actually not opened up, so this flower is really not a flat flower. On the sepals are flat, and then there are the petals, they are just like pointing to the front, they are just pointing forward. Well, this is a classical look to Lycastes, and there are some Phalaenopsis, there are some peloric Phalaenopsis which can resemble these Lycastes because they again have these petals not opened up completely. Well, yeah, if we're talking about the flowers, let's talk about the fragrance. It's just really famous orchid for its cinnamon smell, and I was really curious about it, how I will perceive this cinnamon smell. And I have to tell you, it's not quite a cinnamony smell, not that typical cinnamon smell. Okay, I had to check out the name of the recipe because I wouldn't know that. So the fragrance is not a clean cinnamon fragrance, but it has a pretty specific thing it resembles. If you freshly cook or bake or whatever the semolina pudding and you actually put cinnamon on the top and sugar, that is exactly how it smells. I mean, it's just perfectly mimicking that smell. It's just amazing how much it resembles that, because it's not that clean, sharp cinnamon, it's just semolina pudding. It's just amazing how much it resembles that. I mean the cinnamony semolina pudding. But you know, there are like no other layers to it, no other like florally or chocolatey or these fruity tones. There are like no layers which come afterward the main fragrance or whatever. You just smell it and you smell that, the semolina pudding with cinnamon on top. It's just amazing, I love it. Actually, the fragrance for me right now, maybe it's not the full capacity of the fragrance, but for me right now, the fragrance is not like too powerful and it definitely won't fill up any room. Basically, the fragrance is not that strong, but if you're around it, like, I mean, right now, I can smell the fragrance of it. There is the Paraphalaenopsis labuchensis, and I made a video for that orchid too. If you're curious about it, check it out. Well, that orchid is also famous for the cinnamon fragrance. That was not cinnamony at all, so I thought maybe it's my perception and I just cannot feel a cinnamon fragrance in flowers in general, because I don't know. Well, for me, my Paraphalaenopsis labuchensis smells like rotten bananas, so that's a fragrance, I guess. Now, a few care tips. Like I said, I potted it into a Ceramis potting medium, but I think since it's an epiphyte and also a lithophyte and also a semi-terrestrial, basically you can pot it into a lot of potting mixes. I think it can easily adapt to a lot of potting mixes, like full sphagnum moss if it's loose enough, or just plain bark chips if you water it enough or whatever. I don't know if everybody experienced this, but I thought that I will have to water it less when it's like dormant and it's not growing a new growth and it's like not producing anything. I think there might be just a slight variation, just the slightest variation, and I'm just watering it just a little bit less in the winter time. But if I don't water it in the winter time, these pseudobulbs will like grow wrinkly and they will be shriveled and stuff. So I just have to water it because the plant needs it. The plant is telling me to water it, so you know. I water it year round, basically. There is like no resty period or something in watering. The light level is pretty much Cattleya light. A little bit less than a Cattleya light, I would say, just a tiny little bit. Maybe if I would put it on more light, I would have more flowers light now, because according to the Orchid species website, one pseudobulb is capable of creating even 10 spikes, which means 10 flowers, which is pretty amazing. And I hope that someday that will happen to me, because I just want to see that. That's a lot of flowers. There are some really cool pictures on the internet about the Lycaste aromatica. It can be full of flowers, and if you have a bushy plant with a lot of new growths, it will be full of flowers. It's really beautiful. So I think that if you have that many flowers, that can easily fill up any room if you have like 20 or even 30 blooms on your plant, because you know that's gonna be a stronger fragrance. These medium humidity levels, it will do just fine. I fertilize it in the growing season, so that's a thing. These leaves are really thin and they are not like these robust succulent leaves, so it was a favorite meal for the spider mites. So you know, that's not very bad, but if we have to deal with spider mites, we have to deal with spider mites, so there is that. Right now, if I look at it, I can see that this last pseudobulb on my orchid is already like brown. It's definitely just drying up, so I will wait until the all of the energy which was stored in that pseudobulb is like drained out by the orchid. Maybe I will leave it on this year and I will repot it and remove it next year, because it needs a repot right now, because it's really awkwardly like positioned in this pot. So yeah, this is my video for today for the Lycaste aromatica, and I hope you liked it. If you liked it, click on the like button. If you want to like see more videos from me, you know, there is a subscribe button also, and don't forget to click on the bell button so you get notifications every time I post. Leave a comment down in my know-it-all section. If you smelled this orchid, what do you think about the fragrance? If you did not, you should. So yeah, you can leave a comment in my know-it-all section, and you can follow me on Instagram, and see you next time. Bye guys!